Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/PettyRevenge. In today's episode, my roommate will jump out of bed and run to the shower when he hears my alarm in the morning. Bully made fun of me for pooping my pants, pooped on her porch weekly 20 years later. Persistent window cleaners should have just left me alone. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. My roommate will jump out of bed and run to the shower when he hears my alarm in the morning. My roommate enjoys nice long showers in the morning using all of the hot water. I realized that he literally jumps out of bed and runs into the bathroom when he hears my alarm. I started putting my alarm on silence for a while and this was working well enough, but I still missed my morning showers several times because of their unreasonable long showers. So I just started moving to 2 alarms, 1 alarm about an hour and a half before I normally get up. This has caused him for about 2 weeks now to get up really early, run the hot water out and be out with enough time for it to be warm again. Small victories are nice. Edit. It is possible to run out of hot water, really, who questions that? This is intended to be a lighthearted post, hence the petty revenge. My roommate is not a piece of shit, we've been friends since 8th grade. Everyone does things their roommates don't like, myself included. Despite what people seem to think we do talk about house issues, sometimes people forget or don't realize how annoying it is or what they're doing, which is why I petty revenged. I would just set 2 alarms. The first will be silent. Get up and use all the hot water. The second alarm will go off right after the time shower and she ends up with zip. That's where I thought this post was gonna go. Had a similar issue with an old roommate of mine. We both needed to shower, but because she left for work a half hour before me, we agreed to let her shower first. Except, she liked to hit snooze over and over, not getting up until close to my shower time. She'd shower, then there would be no hot water for me. It came to an end when I started showering before her and left her with cold water. She started showering at night. Good solution, shit roommate. I would argue this guy doesn't talk to his roommate much. Alternate ending, Op started sharing morning showers with roommate. Someone has been questioning limited hot water? I live with my family of 5 and we have to space our showers an hour apart. And we live in a house, small water heater. Anyhow, great revenge, perfectly petty. Here's something for a good laugh. After he goes to bed, go to the hot water heater, turn off the valve for the hot water. The next morning when he wakes up, he will never get hot water. Then you get up, turn the hot water back on and say, "Works fine for me." Just tell him that due to limited hot water, your morning showers will now be communal, but don't talk about it beforehand. Tell him on Monday morning after you ask him to pass the shampoo as you are getting in with him. Bully made fun of me for pooping my pants, pooped on her porch weekly 20 years later. When I moved into my first apartment when I was 19, it so happened that her brother and her both lived together with their sorority sisters and frat brothers a mere block away. My roommates and I drank heavily at the time, and upon finding out that they lived there, decided it would be hilarious if we pooped on her porch. Well, it was so fun that it became a drunken tradition with 10+ people, off and on for the next 5 years, at least once a week. Getting to tell her years later is a whole nother story, which was its own petty revenge in itself. I tell the story to my daughter and her friends as an anti-bullying cautionary tale. Edit. Another was the choice in diction so you guys wouldn't mistake me for some classy, uppity. But if we are splitting hairs, it's more of a grammatical issue than a vocabulary issue, right? Because whole another story isn't really a thing. Edit. While I was a full-blown adult when I purposefully shit this girl's porch, I was in 1st grade when I unintentionally shit my pants in after school. Not sure where you all are getting the high shoe thing from asterisk. This girl was a relentless bully at a private Catholic school where I didn't fit in. Granted, I did have some bowel issues and pooped my pants semi-regularly, but she was one of those bitches that was just born to be a mean girl. Her brother even made fun of my brother for being overweight. This is the advice I give to my niece. No matter what happens, never poop your pants/skirt in school. Drop kick the principal if you have to, but make sure you get to the toilet in time. In 20 years nobody is going to remember who the valedictorian is, but everyone will remember the one who pooped their pants. My friends from primary school still get together since leaving in 1971. We still talk about the boy who shit himself back in grade 2, 56 years ago. No idea what I had for lunch yesterday, though. This isn't something I would have ever admitted, but I guess I'm not as brave as you. Or stupid. Or this is completely made up. Who poops their pants semi-regularly? Like twice a month? I would have never admitted to it either, and also taking a shit on someone's porch for 5 years, you are bound to get caught. I couldn't find 3 people that would do this with me if I paid them, yet OP had 10 people partake in this atrocity, highly unlikely. Wow. She lived in your head rent-free for that long? She won, unfortunately. Also, teaching this to your daughter isn't petty at all, it's weird. I wonder what she thinks of her mom shitting on someone's doorstep all these years later. My guess is that her mom is a loser. Alright man, this is just disgusting. That's not a cool story, bro. Persistent window cleaners should have just left me alone. This was years ago, but another story I read reminded me of it. When I was about 14 years old, I was left at home on my own for the first time. This was a chance to prove to my parents that I was responsible enough to be left alone. Both my parents were at work. Mom was an accountant, Dad was a police officer. That is relevant. I was told not to open the door to anyone. After a few hours, there's a knock on the door. I ignore it. They keep knocking. It's clear I'm in the house, as you can see someone in the living room from the front door. They keep knocking, so I open the door to get rid of them. There are 2 men standing there. They tell me they are window cleaners and they'll clean the windows for a fee. I said no thanks. They persist, but I still say no. I close the door and think that's the end of it. 2 minutes later, they're cleaning the front windows. I go out and say I already told them I don't want the windows cleaned and I can't pay them. They're cheerful enough, don't worry love, we'll leave a bill, you can pay it later. I'm getting quite anxious now, so I firmly as a scared 14-year-old can, tell them to go away. A few minutes later, I hear some noise around the back. I open the back door, which is right next to the gate to the back garden. One of them is trying to climb the fence to unlock it. Now I'm panicking. Deep down I know they're just trying to clean the windows, but I don't like that they've ignored me and they're be so persistent. I yell at them to go away, but all I get was, "Don't worry love, we do this all the time." But I have a secret weapon. I whistle and my rather large German Shepherd dog comes to my side. Usually she wouldn't bark, but she knew I wasn't happy with these guys. She goes crazy. They ask me to put the dog away. Obviously I refuse, and they finally get the message. I'm pretty shook up, so I call my mom to tell her what happened. Mom calls Dad. Dad turns up in the marked car and talks to the window cleaners. I don't hear the conversation, but apparently it went something like this. Dad, we've had a report that you've harassed a young girl and tried to gain access to the back garden when told not to. Them, no mate, that's not what happened, she's making it up. Dad, so, you're saying my daughter is a liar? The penny drops. Anyway, turns out the van they were driving had a flat tire and the tax had expired, so Dad fined them for that. Do they really get away with that? Doing a service when it is rejected and then sending a bill later? It's not legal or binding, but I imagine these jokers intimidated a number of people into paying up. Ugh, good on OP. And Dad, and Doggo. Awesome, was this in England? Sometimes these guys are just trying to scout places to break into later. Think about it, They'll see what's in the house through the windows and they'll know who lives there. This was my concern, and stupidly, I said I can't pay because my parents aren't here. I realized how stupid it was as soon as I said it. However, if it was a ruse, it was a pretty elaborate one, because they did indeed wash some of our windows and some of the neighbors' windows. That's why they were still around by the time my dad arrived. What creeps! They were totally just trying to get a layout of the house for stalking/robbing. Same with having excuses to be allowed around the house. Or maybe that's not common in your country, but in my country, when people come door to door to wash your windows or offer other services, they're just casing the house to see when someone is home, checking if they have dogs, etc. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.